I kind of look at these security plans, particularly in a place like the Washington Hilton. This is a hotel in the United States that has something every week involving dignitaries or someone who is high profile that requires security. So the hotel staff there, no stranger to working with the U.S. Secret Service, with the Metropolitan Washington Police Department. But I kind of approach this as like an cast iron skillet. Like, you don't want to get a new one every year. You just want to season that one. And particularly for places like this, these security plans are like that. You just want to season them a little bit. And particularly, they found out this particular time that the vulnerabilities were the guy that checked in the hotel a day early. So he got through one layer of that ring, those rings of security that they always talk about. So I think moving forward, that particular vulnerability will be something they'll take a look at.
And the journalists in the room, though, I mean, we've got reports from everywhere. We know what happened in that room, and to get into that room, so many of them saying that there were minimal security checkpoints, that airport security is way and beyond what was there at the Hilton. Was there enough? Will that be a very big focus of the investigation?
Yes, I think they will, and take a look at that like they do every type of event. And you're right, like they've been doing this event at the same hotel for decades. And so sometimes you get a little complacent. I'm not saying that's what happened here. They had gotten everybody into the secure ballroom. Everything was going on. They had started serving the salad. So the people who were on that outside perimeter have thought, hey, we've got everybody through. Everybody in that room is secure. But when the person came down the elevator, the suspect there, and started approaching, they had seconds to react, and I'm sure for them it was kind of surreal. You really are prepared for it, but when you don't expect it very often, you have to react quickly. And we saw the training kick in. You saw in the video the Secret Service agents take a knee and go into that tactical stance and fire the rounds at the suspect there. Lauren, I will say the fact that the suspect is believed to have had a shotgun, and the fact that the agents were able to tackle him and no one was seriously injured. We had that Capitol Police Uniform Division officer take a round in the vest. Thankfully, he's okay. But the fact that people were not shot or seriously injured is really quite remarkable, because usually these things turn out with a dead suspect, particularly when they have a shotgun.
I wonder what you think the wisdom is of having so many senior administration officials in the same room in a public space.
Well, they do that for State of the Union. They do this for very few amount of incidents around the country every year. So I think, particularly in the United States, they want to be able to do what they want to do, and security is always a give and take. So I know the people, the principals, want to always do more than what the Secret Service wants them to do, and so there's always a balance there. I think we should be able to protect those folks who are coming together for these things, and we do it every year again with certain government things, and this is a private event, but I think there is a way to do that, because the bottom line is we don't want people who use violence to win. So whether you're on the left or right, in the middle, or wherever you are, violence is not the answer, and to have someone affect what you want to do based on them trying to stop you with violence, I think solidifies both sides and says, no, we're not going to take it.
Where does the FBI investigation begin then? It already has, but what is the main focus then on the suspect that they have in custody? What will be their lines of inquiry? Where will they be probing?
Yes, ma'am. So there are basically two fronts on this particular case. We have the crime scene there in the Washington field, our area of responsibility there in Washington, D.C. We also have agents out at his residence in the Los Angeles field office out in California. So they're going door to door, talking to neighbors to see what they knew about the suspect. They interview family members and associates, maybe coworkers. They're trying to get this great big picture together so they have every bit of information to be able to go to that, answer that question of why this happened. And so you'll see them do that. They'll take that information that they got, particularly if they got computers or phones, other devices in this person's house. They'll search those, and then they'll add that to any other potential charges that he could face. Right now, out of the District of Columbia, the prosecutor there has filed 2 charges, and those are charges related to firearm and furtherance of a violent crime and assault on a federal officer. So I think those are the 2 charges the suspect will face next week when he appears in court.
Do you think that there has been an increase in political violence in recent years? And if so, has that affected the way law enforcement agencies deal with things?
I think over the past 10 or 11 years or so, there's been like a 357% increase. Something like 1,200 cases back in the early 2000s to most recently, a couple of years ago, right at 9,000 cases. So yes, the answer definitely has increased according to some FBI statistics I've recently read. There's also a chilling effect, so that makes people not want to get involved in politics. So you have to be careful with that, but there definitely has been an increase in political violence, and I think we have heard on both sides, even after this particular incident, to tone the rhetoric down a little bit. So what happens is, in our estimation for law enforcement, particularly in the United States with our First Amendment activities protected by the Constitution, you can say lots of things that are not a crime, and so until the overt action occurs, that when it becomes a crime, you have to be in a lot of places a lot of times. So it's incumbent on family members and people who know these folks. If they hear things like, I have a plan, I want to fix these things, it has to be a little more than just airing of grievances. It has to be like, I'm going to do something about it. That's where you want to get concerned. And a lot of times families really don't know what they're hearing. They're around these folks a lot. They think they're just ranting or raving, but they really don't know what that means when they keep saying they have a plan, they have a plan. And then in this case, we saw in the manifesto, according to some reporting that I've read, that his social media has anti-administration themes going on to it. He told his relatives that he wanted to make a plan to do something about it, and then he started planning for it. Like he bought a couple of guns over the past couple of years, according to the ATF. Those were bought illegally, so nothing wrong there, right? We don't see any of these red flags. But when you start putting all that together, then he buys a train ticket to Washington and starts executing that plan. And then when he goes and checks in that hotel, those are the types of things where it can become too late. And so those are the things that get you to that pathway of violence that we see in all these mass shootings that we look at and investigate as FBI and law enforcement in the United States.
Former FBI Special Agent Jason Pack, interesting to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Lorna. Have a great day out there, you guys.
You too.